Welcome back to the Real Heroes Show. Nick here with you. And today I'm going to be talking about True Story. Not a true story, but the True Story, a limited series starring Kevin Hart and Wesley Snipes. If you haven't seen it yet, premiering on Netflix, it's 7 episodes. Should take maybe 5 to 7 hours worth of time to binge the entire thing. If you want to go do that and come back here, hear what I have to say, go right ahead. I'll be here waiting for you. If you're new here, do us a big favor. Hit that subscribe button for free. Help support the channel. We're trying to hit the 600 goal this month, and then obviously we're trying to get to 1,000, hopefully very soon. So I'm going to dive right in here. There will be spoilers. So again, if you haven't seen it, go check it out and come back. Overall, I was really surprised to see this come out from Kevin Hart. Obviously, he didn't write it. It was written by Eric Newman and I believe Matthew Kellard. And it really had Kevin Hart in mind. It definitely felt like this could have been his production. It really pings on his actual career, being a successful stand-up comedian and starring in a lot of these big movies. In the show here, he's a superhero in the anti-verse, and there's a very, very short and small cameo with Chris Hemsworth, who's his superhero buddy. Ironic. And obviously in real life, he's not a superhero, maybe yet, but he has obviously been in some big movies, Jumanji, to be one of them, right? And the Jumanji sequel. So it definitely felt, again, with his comedic career, him being from Philly, these big arena shows that he's done in real life, and talks a lot about his past or his family. That he has a brother in the show, and this series kind of made me think about the limited series, a little documentary series he released on Netflix. I want to say it was back in maybe 2019, if I remember correctly. Maybe someone can quote me on that. And again, I saw the similarities from things that he had shared from real life into this limited series. And again, this didn't come directly from him, but maybe the creators and the writers thought this in mind of Kevin Hart. I had to say, I think this was Kevin Hart's best acting performance. And it was different. Obviously, he's not very comedic in this. It's a more serious and dramatic role, but I think it was actually really refreshing to see, and good to see this take from Kevin Hart, because a lot of the times you see him in a movie and you think he's just getting typecast. He's going to be the short, funny guy, the comedic relief, and or gets picked on, or picks on other people because it's funny, jokes, etc., etc. But it's really not. He might say a couple funny things here and there, but a lot of it's very serious. It's there's intensity. There's some very high-strung moments, and maybe some more caring and loving moments at times. And again, just for the sake of his co-star here with Wesley Snipes, I haven't seen Wesley Snipes in something for a very long time. Loved him in the Blade series, of course. I think he looks great. He lost some weight, but he looks good, looks healthy. And I'm not going to say he stole the show, but he can still act. And again, I think Wesley Snipes did a great job in this, playing Kevin Hart's older brother. Kevin went by the name Kid, and then Wesley went by the name Carlton, or C for short. Very similar to like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air stuff, right? Willie used to call Carlton C, and I think their chemistry was one of the best things about this little limited series. You could really see that Kid cared for Carlton, even though I want to say he was selfish about his career, but again, it's one of those things where he worked so hard to get where he is in this moment in Kid's life. And Kevin Hart's actually shared that about what he had to go through. And so again, those similarities definitely came out, and they might have just written that in purposefully, right? But to see what Carlton was doing in the movie, it seemed in some points he might care, but in the end he really doesn't, right? There's this little twist that comes at the end where it's a setup, and it was just one of those things where Kid had really had to go had to go through things on his own and find out, based on these events that happen, and how it didn't really make sense at the end, especially when he finds the girl who he thinks died next to him in his bed. And so the one thing I thought was, yeah, because he didn't check her pulse, Carlton did, and he said she's dead. So all she had to do was just lay there and not move and just try to breathe quietly. But and I think for that part, Kid was a little dumb. I mean, if I were in his position, I would have put my fingers on there, on her neck or something like that to try and feel some sort of pulse. But I get it, in the moment you might be freaked out. So nothing against Kid per se in that regard. But maybe it could have been, different in real life, right? Anyway, I think a lot of the supporting characters, with Todd, Billy, Herschel, even Ari, right? They did such a great job. I kind of think, playing into his role. I think could have been some things that it may have been, could have been done differently and may have improved the series a little bit more. Billy is an up and coming star. She's got the talent. There's room for growth. She teases at leaving to go work with Will Ferrell. Doesn't. She gets her own gig, which she kills it at. And, I wonder if she would have really been, if she needed to be in it at all. Not at all, but more so, I wonder if they could have just written her a little bit differently, like actually had her go on to, do MSG, like Kid proposed and kind of made that offer to her. We don't really see that. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you guys think, her character was necessary? Do you think it was lacking a bit? I kind of was expecting a little bit more, because I think there was a purpose for her to be in the series. There was something left to be desired from her. But I think Tawny Newsome still did a great job acting in the character of Billy. Same thing for William Catlett, who played Herschel. Kid's bodyguard. Which he let Kid get away with a couple hits there. But again, he took a bullet for him at one point towards the end of the 7th episode. And, I think for the sake of his importance of being there for Kid and having his back and being a bit more of a brother than Carlton was. And I think that, plays to the sake of Herschel's character, and then, how, William Catlett, acted for him. Todd, the white manager guy who tries to play it cool in every freak out moment possible. If you've ever been in the industry of any kind, music, TV, movies, I'm sure you've probably seen someone like that. I have, and they're always a character, and they try to seem like they know what's best, want to do what's best, but then they freak out, and I think Todd meant it well for a Kid. I don't think it was just, hey, like, you're making me money, and I gotta mooch off you, or do what's best for you because what you do for me, sort of thing. I didn't really get that vibe, but I think Todd was kind of hilarious in certain stances, especially at the end when Kid finally comes out and tells the truth to Todd and Herschel, right, in that hotel room before he does the interview. And I think for the sake of unfortunate circumstances with Ari being killed, right? I mean, the setup was there, again from Carlton, and it was just an unnecessary death, which led to another unnecessary death to a super uber diehard fan with Gene. And Theo Rossi did a great job, I think, playing this very eccentric, sensitive fan, who had newspaper clippings and these articles from not just Kid but from Carlton as well, from high school, right? It's like he valued Kid's entire life, not just Kid, but Kid's entire life, his family. And we hear that story in the motel room where Gene's staying. He tells Kid about his sister who lost the battle to cancer, and you start to understand Gene a little bit more, where he's coming from, even as a fan. And I felt bad for him just because of as a viewer, we know what all is going on. Gene has no idea about that Kid cares but doesn't really care, and in some cases he tries to make it seem like he is, and and I think anyone would probably do that same thing, like, hey, let's spoil you with all the fame and the fortune of being my friend. And even though Kid tries to be there for Gene, and to the point where Gene's like, I got your back, I'm gonna delete the video, because he knows what happened, but he doesn't know that it's a setup. And of course he's dead by that point, and we've already watched the majority of the series once we know that's all happened. So you kind of you go back and you think about poor Gene, because he didn't need to die. And for the sake of Carlton dying at the end, you wonder if Kid would have been able to save Gene's life by giving up his brother. Because at that point, Gene would have really known the truth and seen that I do really care for my fans. And granted, that's a very tough take. It's a tough, tough scale to leverage, your brother versus some diehard fan. But I think for Kid, and realizing what type of brother he is, and it's family, it's tough to go against blood. But there are people out there in real life that don't really care about parting away with family, because if family does something that bad, then it can go down like that. We've seen a bunch of movies and TV shows where that happens. So it's not abnormal, and I think it could have been interesting to play out that way in this series. But overall, again, I think it was really, it was well done. The Greek brothers, the sociopaths, with Savas and Nikos, they were quite the interesting brothers, and they've got their torture methods and a way of trying to get back at Carlton and avenge their brother Ari's death. I doubt there's going to be a second part to this. It doesn't seem like it would make sense for them to be, again, it's being a limited series, and hopefully just staying at this one season would make a lot of sense. But what did you guys think? Did you guys enjoy the entire series? What did you guys think of Kevin Hart's performance? What about Wesley Snipes coming back and I think just knocking out of the park with this? I do have a couple other ratings pulled up as far as how other people on the internet have been perceiving this. We're going to go over to the trusty Rotten Tomatoes. Obviously, critics, if one side's bad, the other side's usually good. 47% from critics, 78% from the audience, like you and myself. Look over at IMDb. We get a 7.7 average out of 10. And the one thing I like about what they have here on IMDb, as far as the individual episodes go, from chapter 1 to chapter 7, it just gets better. 7.7 on the first one, 7.7 on the second one, 7.9 on episode 3. Then it drops to 7.6 on chapter 4, which I think is probably the least best episode out of the 7. Then it jumps up to a 7.9 on the 5th one, 8.1 on the 6th one, and the finale gets an 8.4. So I think it's good to see that consistency. I don't know if it would have made sense to maybe combine maybe the 4th and 5th episode and keep it to 6 episodes. 7's a interesting number just to kind of leave it on. I know most shows nowadays will either go with 6 or 8. But I digress. It's still a good series overall, and I personally would probably give it the same rating, about like a 7.8 to about an 8 at the highest, I think, as far as I'll go. But again, I think the finale was definitely the best episode out of the 7. I think that 8.4 mark is well deserved. So again, what do you guys think about all of these episodes, the series overall? Did you like the supporting characters, the idea, the concept, this being around Kevin Hart, and again hitting on notes of his real life success stories? Again, being a movie star, big comedy superstar, and I'm not going to say this has anything to do with some of his past events with like the cheating or the Oscar debacle, but it would almost kind of say like there's something else there maybe, and this whole thing is just like a giant what if, right? But again, what ifs are fun. What ifs make good TV shows and or movies. So leave your comments in the comment section below. I'd love to see what other people have to say. I've been reading a couple of things here and there already on the internet, but all positive things all around. So until then, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.